Thanks a lot, Bård. I spoke to Bård this morning, and he was actually one of my professors when I was studying journalism, which is a little more than 2 decades ago. But he couldn't remember me, which probably is because I never was one of his star students, and that's hard to take coming from Bergen. And if that wasn't enough, I am left with maybe the biggest problem that Northern Norway is facing, and that is what we're going to talk about today. The demographic shift, or to put it straight, the demographic problem. And my sound is gone. That's typical. When you are from Bergen, they always want to take your sound away. Fact is that the problem that we are facing is not special for Northern Norway. Many parts of many regions of Norway are facing just the same problem, and many other countries as well. But fact is that we are getting older, as Bård just mentioned. We are getting fewer because the birth rates are down, and the worst part of it is that we are not longer able to keep hold of the ones that we have. And especially the young ones are leaving. Why is that? What can we do about it? Who do we depend upon to get things changed and turned around? That is what we are going to discuss in this next hour, a little less than an hour. I have a bunch of smart people with me, but before I introduce them, I would like to show you a little film of a project that we have called Voices of the Young, Unge Stemmer. Have a look at this.
For at unge som meg skal bli igjen i Nord-Norge, så må man egentlig bare ha sånn som pust. Vi må ha masse gode tilbud, man må ha masse folk som er gira og som tar deg godt imot. Jeg tenker at alle små kommuner, der må man ta et lite ansvar og se hva kan vi gjøre for å få de unge som kommer hit til å ville bli her.
Og det jeg har lyst til er at jeg skal kunne slå meg til ro her oppe i Nord-Norge, hvor jeg kommer fra og føler at jeg hører hjemme. Så da er det veldig interessant å kunne få være med og komme med ideer til hva som skal til for at vi skal bli her, og man kan få være med å påvirke, og man får høre masse spennende synspunkt fra andre.
Jeg og andre unge voksne skal se sin framtid i nord, så er det viktig at man tilrettelegger for at de som for eksempel har tatt utdannelse i Sør-Norge kan komme tilbake.
For at de unge skal velge å bli et sted, så er det her med tilhørighet veldig viktig. Og det er veldig mange unge der ute som kanskje føler at ja, men jeg kommer fra et annet land og har jeg egentlig noe plass i det norske systemet, har jeg egentlig plass i den nordnorske kulturen. Så jeg tenker jeg er jo litt her for å prøve å inkludere.
Så det å få tatt med unge folk ut for å vise dem hva slags muligheter som finnes her i Nord-Norge, det tror jeg kan være gull verdt for å få folk til å både bli gründere og se muligheter og bli værende.
Jeg tror det er et komplekst spørsmål. Jeg tror det både handler om jobb, men jeg tror det også handler om alt det rundt. Så kulturtilbud og trivsel og bolyst på et sted.
I Nord-Norge kan du gjøre akkurat hva du vil. Og det føles som at du ikke har de samme mulighetene i resten av landet alltid.
And with me now on stage, I have Einar Bjøru, who actually was is one of the young voices. He was not in the film, but he still is part of the project. And I have Maja Blomberg, who is from Oslo, but a student at the university here in Bodø. And Jeanette Gundersen, which is my colleague, and she is also the chief editor of Kunnskapsbanken, or the bank of knowledge about Northern Norway. You can find it on kbnn.no, kbnn.no. Make a visit there. There are lots of nice things and interesting things to read. And I would like to start by saying a big welcome to you all. Give them a round of applause. Starting with you, Jeanette, because Unge Stemmer, Voices of the Young, are a part of Samfunnsløftet. And Kunnskapsbanken is also a part of Samfunnsløftet. And you have been monitoring the young voices pretty closely the past couple of years. And what do they tell you about what it is that makes them choose one place in front of another?
Well, we talk about the young adults like they're so different, but they're actually not different from the rest of us. Their decision-making are not based on one simple thing or in a vacuum. They consider different factors when making decisions like jobs, work, family, friends, service offering, and networks. With that said, we have involved and asked the young adults between 18 to 34 years old what's important to them. Without simplifying too much, but after 2 years of Barometer X and design-driven insight papers from the Young Voices, there are some issues that stands out. We have heard many of them in the panels yesterday, but they are possibilities, they are mobility, and meeting places. Because the young adults do not see the possibilities when it comes to job opportunities. And even though we heard Daniel yesterday talked about there's never been so many vacancies, so many available jobs. But the young adults have told us the solution. We have to recruit openly and not just in our private network. And private and public businesses has to be better with employer branding and also to tell the positive story about Northern Norway. The second factor is mobility. As we heard yesterday, it's not only about the physical infrastructure, but the feeling of being connected. Yes, of course, it's important to have a good public transportation, but how do we connect the young to the development of Northern Norway in every great shift that is now happening? How can more arenas and conferences learn from High North dialogue to make the young voices heard? And last but not least, how do we create the social meeting places? We heard yesterday that culture is important, but all arenas to engage the young in the local and regional society are just as important. And we know that we have to recruit from all over the world to realize all of the potential in the north, but do we have the meeting places to do so? We talk about the Northern Norway warmth, but let's face it, very few of us talk to strangers when we're standing in queue. So how do we create the social meeting places?
But does this differ when you compare Bodø to Oslo or Tromsø to Bergen? Does it mean that we are not able to compete because we can't deliver on any of those measures, or?
Oh, if I had the question, it answered to that question. Not at all, but maybe I think we have to do things differently. Albert Einstein once said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But to my knowledge, the lack of young people in the Northern Norway is not a new issue. A publication from Statistics Norway, SSB, in 1998 had a header, the lack of young adults. So for 24 years, we have not been able to change this trend. So we have to recruit through open channels, we have to change the way we think, and we have to involve the young adults in the decision-making arenas. We need more people that actually go from talking to acting. As the young voices have said, it's not the most important thing to do it right the first try, but at least start to try to do something.
But having said that, and having said that Northern Norway is not able to comply with the needs of the young, do they say anything about where they want to go? What is their favorite destinations? Do we know anything about that?
It's probably Bergen.
Apart from Bergen, of course.
Well, some of them study abroad. We can see that a lot of people is going to Trondheim, Bergen, Stavanger, and also Oslo. But I question, why do we talk so much about the people that are actually leaving? Why are we not focusing about the people that's actually staying? In Barometer X last year, we asked the young adults, do you see yourself in Northern Norway within 5 years? And 30% said that, yeah, we're going to leave. And that's what you read on the front page, 30% are leaving. But then you forget that 70% actually says that they want to be here. So we can talk about winners or losers, but I don't want to point it out because we have to talk about the attractiveness of the different regions with the unique possibilities that we actually have. We have to start cheering on each other and understand that not one single actor can actually make this alone. there's a lot of possibilities. So if we start talking about them, I think we'll actually try to succeed. Because there is not only one winner, there has to be a lot of winners if we're going to succeed in Northern Norway in the coming years.
And we have with us one lady who has gone in the complete opposite direction. Maja, you are from Oslo,
yes,
but you have decided to study in Bodø.
Yeah.
How come?
I'm one of the crazy people who's going against the stream, I guess. I had a fascination for the Arctic, I think, during my studies in political science. I have a master's degree in something called International Security and Defense from the University of Lyon in France. And there we talked a lot about international cooperation, geopolitics, climate change. And this, according to, well, because this is so relevant for the Arctic, I think that kind of triggered something. And so when I got back to Oslo, I got a job at the French Embassy, where I worked for almost 4 years. And there I worked with a lot of Arctic issues. And so when the pandemic was over, I decided I had to come north to see what this interest was, what I can make of it. But coming to the north wasn't actually that easy, because finding a job isn't that easy. I applied for several positions, which all of them, I think, actually where the position went to a northerner, a local person. And I've actually spoken to a lot of other southerners who's come to the north who has the exact same experience. And so the reason why I actually came to Bodø was through my studies. So going back to my studies was actually my plan B. Now, I don't regret it, because this program, Global Management, is really interesting, and I think it opens up to a whole new dimension on the work market. And yes, I also say that because a lot of my professors are here today. but I think my point is that it's not as easy. It doesn't. The opportunities that you talk about, they don't seem to be as accessible. So maybe there needs to be a change in the narrative when it comes to bringing people up north, because a lot of us are here. Actually, we don't have a reason to stay.
But the northern part of Norway is struggling.
Yeah.
We have been speaking about that through these 2 days. And people are fleeing, you might say. And you tell us that the northerners are being chosen over the people from the south. Still they are fleeing the region. Do you have any idea to why they want to leave this part of the country?
I don't think, because I've come the other way, I'm from the south, I've come north, I don't think I will be able to answer that question, really. I think you need to ask someone who has left. But I will say that I think there's a very interesting aspect to this, that I don't think it has been treated yet. Maybe it has been discussed, but maybe I'm just been ignorant to it. But I think in part it comes down to a question about identity, because I see that it's risky to hire a southerner. You know, we might want the northern adventure. We come up, we see the northern lights, we post it on Instagram, and we go back to Oslo, right? But and it's much easier to hire a local person who has roots, who has network, who has family, who has knows the culture, knows the climate, and it's just a safer choice. It's less risky. And I think another aspect of this identity is also, I think it brings a lot of legitimacy to local companies to hire northerners or locals, because, as you say, we have this aspect of people leaving as well, and so you want to keep the good resources here, but at the same time, I think you should let in some of the competence from the south as well. And so I think the aspect of, I'm not 5th generation tough fisherman, you know. I cannot bring that into your company or into your institution. I think there needs to be a change of mindset when it comes to changing this narrative.
I would like to say, the irony, because they hire the locals because they think they want to stay, but they are the ones who are leaving, and the ones who wants to come can't get a job. Yeah. That is something we have to address. What are your plans for the future? Are you going to stay in the north if you can find a job here?
Give me a job and I'll stay. Yeah, employ me. Yeah.
No problems with the climate. No.
No, I've gotten used to the wind, so now it's actually finding a job. That's the biggest challenge.
And if you, apart from the job, what are the reasons, in your view, to stay in northern Norway?
I think it's still comes back to this fascination I have for the Arctic. I think it's very interesting, the growth, economic growth. A lot of things are happening in this region. As we've seen throughout this conference as well, you have international cooperation, you have local cooperation, you have cooperation between cities, between countries, between regions. So I think there's just a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities, a lot of natural resources that we can, a lot of exciting stuff going on.
Einar, one of the young voices, one part of the project. You are a northerner, but you have been away for a while. You have been to Copenhagen, you have been to Cairo, you told me. What was it that made you want to return to your native north?
It seems like I couldn't get away far enough, you know. But at one point, I think when I was younger, I was seeking adventure around the world, you know, and used my studies to do that. And at one point, I think you just get tired of that, you know. So if I can get a bit personal, I woke up one morning, and it was during Corona, so it was limits. But I woke up one morning in Copenhagen, and I just looked out the window and I see these buildings and this beautiful city, but I just felt entrapped. Like, what am I going to do today? My motivation was just lack. And then, due to Corona, I had to go back home for Christmas a bit earlier. And I booked the plane. It was November, and flying Videre in November, it's not a merry welcome. So, you know, we had to fly to the next airport. It was bus. It was just a wild ride. And waking up that morning, even though the storm was raging outside, I just felt this ease in my body, and from there I just got more motivated, and I just saw more possibilities, which I haven't noticed before when living here, and I just never went back, which was a problem because I had all my stuff there. So yeah,
good to come home in a way.
Yeah.
But if you compare, you have been out in Copenhagen. Is a large and attractive city in almost any way. If you compare the pros and the cons between Copenhagen and Bodø or Sandnessjøen, I'm not sure which of the cities are your hometown.
Yeah.
Brønnøysund, neither of them. Yeah. Pros and cons.
Well, you mentioned it. You can cover a lot of space in Copenhagen in a very short time, very easily through commuter travel or bike or car or anything. And it's also closer to the continent. You know, the world is much closer to in Copenhagen than it is here in Bodø or in Brønnøysund. Then again, and this is also a personal issue, because for me, I saw more possibilities here. And things I could get in Copenhagen, I can get back home. So I can have a great coffee with a Southern American bean here at the Melkebarn, and then head up rando skiing, getting back in time to catch a Euro Cup game at Aspmyra, which is
it had to come.
Which is great. It's a lot of possibilities for me, and I think a lot of people also have to see that maybe. And also Copenhagen it's a rich cultural life, you know. It's any day of the week you can do a lot of stuff going out. Then again, they don't have Halvdan Sivertsen, so we win that as well. Yeah, I would say.
But you have met a lot of people on your journeys, on your time as a student in Copenhagen. Do you think that the life in northern Norway could appeal to the average Danish youngster?
I talked about this with a couple of my friends in Denmark when I was there, and it's not an uplifting answer, maybe, because as you mentioned in the intro, and also they struggle with this issue also in other parts of the world and in other parts of Europe. You know, they answer with a lot of average Danish youth couldn't see themselves moving to the rural parts of Denmark, and then northern Norway seems quite far away. Then again, it's about the seeing the possibilities, which you talked a little bit about, and I think if we're better at that, and they also mentioned that as, yeah, we have the midnight sun and the northern lights and stuff, but beyond that, seeing the possibilities for your own career, for your social life, for your own flourishment, you know, they saw it's not an impossible task, but it's hard. But then again, it's everywhere, yeah.
But the way you see it, we need to keep hold of the ones that we have. as much as possible, or make them return to the north after they have finished their studies or whatever, their adventurous parts of life. What can we do to attract people from other parts of the world? And where should we look? I mean, if the typical Danish wouldn't see his future in northern Norway, where should we look?
I think we talked about showing, like, we have jobs here, but it's hard to see the possibilities, or it's hard coming here and finding a job that is relevant. So if I can mention like 3 things about that, because it goes back to the movie, I would recommend everybody to see that movie again and actually hear what's being said. When a business or the government or the private industry needs people, you have to offer not only a job but also a career. You have to see that you're starting here, but we have a plan for you. Like we're going for you as in your career. Because I talked with someone that moved away from Tromsø after 2 years because it was a dead end. They couldn't thrive anymore. Had they gotten the opportunity to see that in 5 years I would be at that and that stage of my career, they would have stayed for at least 5 years. And as longer you stay, the more you maybe want to be here for a longer time. And also focusing on societies as a whole. That it's also, I say that quite often, that there's a life after 4 o'clock. And in smaller communities, that is a very important aspect of it. It's the sense of belonging that she talked about, that I feel in Brønnøysund or here in Bodø. We need to be able to make those that live in the southern part of Norway or from Denmark or other parts of the world to feel that when they come, so they belong. And the last thing that I want to speak about is also mentioned before, but I want to enhance it, and that is, if we make it an awesome place to grow up, then I think more people will return. If we focus on the youth and giving the youth a great experience growing up in their local societies, I think we can get them home. And it's also an aspect of it, getting people back home from after they've been out studying. Yeah.
And you have been out and you have returned. Can you guarantee that you will be staying?
I said that when I graduated high school, I said that when I'm 45, my dream is when I'm 45 to become a teacher at Brønnøysund High School. So I have a bit of time to see if I can fulfill that dream. But I really like it here. So I have a heart for Northern Norway, and I just belong here. So I think so.
No reason to leave.
No reason to leave for me, at least.
Final words from you. Thank you, Einar. Thank you, Maja. Thank you, Jeanette. You will be back if time allows it in the last part of this hour. But thank you. Give them a big hand. So that was the advice from the young people, and now we will switch focus and speak a little bit about competence, what competence that we need in the northern parts of Norway. And we know that the need for people is closely related to the need for workforce and competence. And one of the businesses that has recently been established in the north, in Mo I Rana, is Freyr batteries. Take a look at this.
The accelerating need for green energy to create the green shift also creates the new possibilities. And we have the perfect location. Industry since 1850 makes industry for generations. That creates an industrial DNA. Freyr is placed in the Arctic. Smart, cool, energizing, giving perspective. Nordic quality and life. A clean production based on 100% green energy from wind, water, and natural cooling water in abundance.
Look at this. We're building now. We're building Norway's first large-scale lithium-ion battery facility. We're going to need hundreds of dedicated, passionate, capable people. We're going to need local professionals, international professionals, national professionals. People from all over the world are joining us, and we're looking for you. You and your friends and anyone who wants to be part of this industrial adventure. Come and join us in what is Norway's most exciting workplace these days.
That's impressive, and I have been accompanied on stage by Frode Hvattum, who is the Vice President of Sustainability at Freyr, and Tomas Norvoll, Chair of the, I have to take a look at my papers, the Chair of the County Government of Nordland, which is the correct English way to put it, and welcome to you both. Tomas, I would like to start with you, because when listening to Jeanette and Maja and Einar, and to the movie, for that case, do you think that we do enough in Northern Norway to make people want to stay?
Well, that's a leading question, and of course the answer is no. But when you listen to the young people that spoke here before the old people entered the stage, of course there's a lot of things that we can do, and we can do the boring things. We can make housing, we can make kindergartens, we can argue with the government that we need a new faculty at university, we can build culture houses, we can do all these things, and we have to do all these things, and better roads, of course. But I think it was Maja who said that it's also about the narrative. I really believe that we have to start thinking over how we speak about our own region. There are too many who speaks about the north as a place that is cold, that it is dark. You saw on the movie from Freyr, it's not dark, it's exciting. It's not cold, it is cool. And so we have to start thinking about how do we speak about our own region if we are going to be attractive to those who are considering where they are going to live their lives. And there we have a very strong job to do.
And the narrative is one thing, and it's easy to agree with you on that we have to build a new and maybe a more common narrative about Northern Norway. But there are also other things that they point to that we need to address. And who is responsible to make the changes, in your opinion?
Well, we all are. Of course, we who are politicians, we bear a very strong responsibility, but also the companies that are employing, and also the society as a whole has a responsibility for how we are going to be attractive for young people with competence. When I hear that it is said from this stage that people from outside the region cannot get jobs here, I mean, that's probably true. But it has to stop. We are exactly as many people here in this county now as we were 40 years ago. In fact, we are more or less the same people. So we don't have a chance on earth to be able to increase the population by ourselves. So we have to open up for people coming both from southern Norway. I mean, that is easy. But we also, of course, have to open up for people coming from all over the world. And then we have to change. We like to present an image that people from the north, we are very open-minded, we are very friendly. We are not friendly. Really, we are not. We might appear that because of the way we speak. But when Friday comes and it's 12 o'clock, we all leave for our cabins. I don't take anybody with me to the cabins other than my family and the ones I have known since they were 7 years. 7 years old. We have to open up. We have to open up about the language. We have to get used to using English or other foreign languages in the pubs, in the bars, in the theaters, all over the place. So we have to change as well if we're going to be an open and attractive society where young people from all over the world see that this is where I would like to live my life, to have a job and to have a career and to raise family. So I think we have a great job to do, but we have amazing opportunity just now because we have the European Green Deal, the Fit for 55. Well, Northern Norway is the Norwegian equivalent to that. It is happening here. We have the new green renewable industry moving in, and we have the seafood industry that are working on producing sustainable food for the world. So I think the jobs are going to be here. The future jobs are going to be here, and that gives us an opportunity to really make that shift in population. And I strongly believe that when we meet 10 years from now, and we'll probably still live here, and look back on today, we will say, well, that is the years when it changed, when we made the shift, when we got the new forward-leaning jobs, and when we started to be attractive to and to recruit young people with competence to our part of the nation.
That's interesting, and actually we have all we need to do it. We just need to do it, to start doing it. But you are a high-rank politician, and there is one question that I want to ask you, which I often think about as being kind of an elephant in the room, because people are moving from the outskirts and into the cities of Northern Norway. We are recruiting from each other, and we have people moving out of the region and too few coming back. So we are decreasing all the time. And we have a system in Norway where you can live wherever you want. Politicians speak about we have to make use of the entire country. Is it about time that we form a new strategy and work with the centralization and not against it?
Well, I think we have to do both things. Of course, if we are to succeed, we have to have attractive cities in the north. You must have places. It was said here in the panel before us that you must have places where you can have a career. I could move to a very small municipality and maybe become the CEO of that municipality. I think I would have the competence to do that. But what would be my next job after that? There wouldn't be any. We have to have attractive cities where people see, young people see, that they can have a lifelong career and where they see opportunities. But in Northern Norway in particular, a lot of the value creation is going on in very small societies, and it has to, because we're talking about energy production, and you cannot have a hydro plant in the middle of a city. We're talking about seafood production. It is not allowed to produce salmon inside a city center. You have to do it in a remote area, and it is important that we also make sure that we have the competence workforce to work in this industry, because these are the industries that are carrying this part of that is actually carrying Norway on its backs. So we have to do both things. One important aspect there is communication. It must be possible to commute. It must be possible to maybe do 1 or 2 of the days of your working days during a week from home or from an office in town, 3 days out in a fish farm plant, for instance. So we have to look how we can combine these things. And also, if you look at the coast of Nordland, the coast of Northern Norway, what is it that makes it attractive? It is that there are people all over the place, and also that values are created all over the place. There are lights in the houses. Now I'm feeling like I'm answering like a politician. We can't go from one ditch to the other ditch. So we have to make sure that we have a balanced approach to this, and it must always be like that. That if someone would like to live in the countryside, they should be more than welcome to do so.
2 thoughts in your head at one time.
At least. A little bit confused, but yeah.
Thank you, Tomas. Frode, you are well underway setting up your factories at Freyr in Mo i Rana. Things going according to plan?
Things never go exactly according to plan, but you need a plan to work with at the starting point. No, but things are going fast, and we're really proud. If I can take one step back. I'm not sure if everybody knows the story of Freyr. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it was started 2019, and the idea behind Freyr was to solve two problems. The first is that we need to decarbonize to reach the Fit for 55 and the IPCC goals on carbon. And to decarbonize the world, basically, you need to go from fossil fuels to renewable, right? So you have to change what we do in our car from gasoline to electric batteries. And you also have to take the energy system, which is now produced by fossil fuel, to renewable. Now, wind and solar wind in production doesn't happen when we use it. So we need some kind of storage, right? So it's battery. So that we need a lot of battery. And there's not enough production currently to have the batteries needed to decarbonize. And that's why the CEO and many needed, like, we need to have a lot of battery. That's the first idea. And the second idea is that the way batteries are produced today is not in the best way. It's produced in really, most issues is the energy mix of in Asia, which is really fossil driven, which means you don't have a carbon emission from the car, but it's carbon emission when producing the battery. So we wanted to produce very little carbon in our battery production. And that's why Mo i Rana was a great place. You talked about renewable energy, but also with a very high-tech technology from the USA. So that was like the basis, and our premises is speed, scale, and sustainability. So how we're doing, we're working with speed, scale, and sustainability. So I feel like a teenager. I'm happy, sad, crazy. It's really, really, it's a startup on speed. It's really, really fast. But we have the CQP, the first factory, which is a test factory. That's up and running. You saw that being built. Still target this year. And then also making the drawings for the big factories, which is going to be about 10 to 15 football fields of size in the industry park in Mo i Rana. So very excited. I've gone from 30 people when I started in September to now 200 people, and looking for 750 people to do the first factories in Mo i Rana.
And I once heard 1,500 could be the number when you have it finished. And most businesses in Northern Norway are experiencing problem attracting enough people and the right competence. Is that an issue for Freyr as well?
Yeah, definitely. When we said Mo i Rana, there were many reasons for that. In addition to the renewable energy, it was a municipality that was really willing to work with us. But we do have the challenge to get 1,500 to Norway anyway, but also to Mo i Rana, which is not where many people live. But so yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but we're working hard. The first signals is really positive, but we have a long way to go to find the right people.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you do to attract the right people, the right competence?
Yeah. Well, first of all, is to speak about us, and you know, normally we should just be building the factory, but we also have to at the same time speak about us, because we need to fill that factory with people in not so many, not too long distance. And we look in Norway, look for people, and we look in other countries, work with very digitalized system, but also that each employee try to employ to find the right people. So that's the first thing, to really attract people. But the second thing, I think was also mentioned here, is like you can get people to come to work for Freyr, but then we know they often come with families, because that's the age we attract. And if the partners don't find a job, most people will not come or leave. And if the kids don't have a kindergarten or school, they won't come. So, and there's a lot of things in terms of integration and culture, which are so far experienced is really, really positive. People are really positive to the environment and integration, but we need to work on houses and on jobs for spouses. That's critical.
And Tomas was speaking about the Northern Norwegian narrative. And I also I heard Tom Jensen at the film we just saw. He was doing a great job on forming a good narrative. How much will a good narrative about Mo i Rana, about Northern Norway, impact your possibilities to attract the right people, the way you see it?
A lot, of course. I think when people, I actually read the interviews of all the people that started so far on the flight here to really understand what they said. And first of all, they said when they come to us, they come to, first of all, Freyr. They believe in the purpose. They want to be part of solving a problem in the world, be part of something exciting, but also of course have to be interested in the battery production. So that's the key message. But we know by experience, by statistics, that if they are planning to go to Mo and they're living either in Oslo or in Germany, and they start looking on the internet, and in January there are five jobs out in English. So if they only have 5 jobs in English, it's not going to be, you don't think you're going to find something for your spouse. And they found, can I get a school for my kids, or a kindergarten? If they don't have that in place, regardless how cool Freyr is, they will not come, or they will come and leave. So it's tremendously important.
So language is a barrier that we cannot take serious enough.
Yes.
You have a lot of students in the room here now, and you have a lot of people watching us online. This is your chance to convince the audience to come to Mo i Rana and to Freyr. What would you say?
I hope you're convinced already. No, but I think I noted down the name of the one that already said that she didn't have that would like a job in the region. No, but I think, as you mentioned, I mean, we're in the midst of a perfect place to be part of really working on climate change, on the green shift, in a way that we create the solution, but we also create the working places, and it's growth. And with growth, meaning that you can develop yourself growth-wise. You can have a job and then get a better job because things are growing. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and I would like people to come to Freyr. But when I was in Mo, it's amazing to see also all the other exciting projects, both in digitalization and sustainability. And I know that in Narvik and many places. So there are lots of job opportunities. And of course, and as all lives in the Northern Norway knows, the nature is fantastic. I come from Oslo, and I had problems with my skis because of the slopes in February. And I spoke to somebody in Mo who went to skiing in 17th of May. So as a skier, I'm really jealous, and the nature. But also Mo i Rana has a lot of things that a city has. They had a cultural events, there's social events, there is integration, which our people so far are really impressed with. So we need to grow more. We need to speak English. You need to bring them with you in your cabin. But I think we're on the right track.
And in addition to that, they also will have a new large airport. Although I know that the people of Helgeland don't want to speak too loud about that. It is coming, and it will help as well. Thank you, Tomas. Thank you so much, Frode, for being with us here today. A big round of applause for them. And while some places, some regions, and some countries are struggling to keep hold of their people, they're struggling to attract people, there is one country that seems to have figured out how to do this, and that is Sweden. And with us now, if the technology is on my side, we have Helena Renström, who is marketing manager at the municipality of Skellefteå in northern Sweden. Welcome, Helena.
Thank you.
Can we have a little more sound on Helena? Northern Norway is struggling, as you may have heard, in keeping their young ones and to attract people. But the situation seems to be different in Sweden. Is that so?
Well, I don't know in the whole of Sweden, but I think that it's so exciting to listen to you all because we've had this same problem as you had, and we're still on this path. I think that this is a long-term race, and our problem is that we need to have a short-term pace when we run this long-term race. And we've been working with this for 10 years in Skellefteå, and we've managed to change this shift from having young people moving away. Of course, they still do, but now we have people moving to Skellefteå.
And can you tell us a little bit about what you have done during these 10 years?
Well, I was thinking, when I listened to you all, I thought about saying, in my mind, saying that we need to build a mental infrastructure. We're very used to build physical infrastructures, and of course, when we build those big projects, we just don't build them on this spot. We plan it really a long time before we build those projects. So we've been working with the people. So we had the same problem, and 10 years ago, we set on the race to start building the pride of the people, because the people of Skellefteå was not talking about the North and Skellefteå in a very good way. So we started on a journey where we had the aim of building pride in the inhabitants, to make them talk about Skellefteå in a different way, but also together with the citizens and together with the business life. We also set on a 10-year strategy journey, and we involved over 1,000 people in this journey. So we talked to them in different types of citizen dialogues, and I would say that there was no person, maybe young people, who didn't know about this journey. Everybody were talking about it. So it's not enough that we in this room understand the problem. Everybody needs to understand the problem. And that's the starting point for our journey.
Would you say that the narrative of northern Sweden has changed from what it was before? You mentioned that people were not talking too nicely about their region earlier. What is the narrative today?
It has changed, and like you are talking, we're also in the middle of a green transformation. And I think that today people talk about northern Sweden in a completely different way, but it takes time. We can't think that this will change overnight. It means that we need to believe in ourselves, but we need to make others believe in us. And I think that's one of the really challenging parts, because when you have a big company like Norvoll or like Freyr who invest in a place, they believe in this, but then you have to make the government believe in this investment. You have to make other companies believe in this investment. You have to make sure that the governmental agencies also work together to make this happen, because we can't do it on our own. We have to cooperate with a lot of others. So the attractiveness is just one part of it. And it's the beginning of a journey. But then you have to have everything else that needs to be in place.
And if you should give just one advice to the politicians and to the people of Northern Norway on what to do when we start building our 10-year plan, what would that advice be?
Involve the people in not just ask them, make sure that they get involved in the right manner, and make sure that you don't only ask the people that you normally ask or talk to. Make sure that when you do this citizen dialogue, you should talk to the young people, to the child families, to people who move to this place from other countries and so on. Involve everybody in this process, because that's the implementation phase. You start the implementation of this journey when you start talking about it. And then, of course, you have other issues that you need to think about. And for us, for example, now housing is a really big problem. And, well, housing is not built in 6 months or a year, but you have to also involve all the investors and the banks, and everybody needs to get involved in this.
Things must be in place when people suddenly start to return. That's a good advice.
Yeah, because we also have a problem where we don't have enough people for all the jobs. We have a very low unemployment rate. So now we also have to have people who move in from other countries, of course.
So kind of the same problem as we have. What is the situation like where you work? You work with the municipality of Skellefteå. Is it easy or is it hard for you to get enough and to get the right competence?
I would say that we have a lot of good competence in our team. And I think that one thing that is very good for us in the north is that we are small enough to make a change. Because when you're trying to make this shift or this change in a very big city, people don't meet and they don't understand the changes in the same way that we do in smaller cities and smaller municipalities. We have a very good way of acting upon all those strategies that only are talked about otherwise. So I think that we get good competence, but we need more. We don't get enough.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, Helena. Thank you so much. And for the last couple of minutes, I would like to have Jeanette, bring Jeanette back to stage. You are, as I mentioned, the editor of Kunnskapsbanken, the Bank of Knowledge about Northern Norway, and you are going straight back to Tromsø and will update it with all you have learned today, of course.
Of course.
Of course. You know what you know, and know you have listened to wise people giving their advice and their views upon this issue. What are your reflections?
I think the most important thing that we heard is to change the narrative. We have to talk more positive and believe in ourselves and the possibilities that we have. But I think that we have to have two thoughts in our head at the same time, because it's not only the youth that are leaving, it's also the people between 40 to 49 years old. So we have to understand how do we provide the service offering that both the youth and the 40 to 49 years old need.
But we always speak about the youth, but you say that it's not the youngest ones that are leaving. It's
the
the
young
families.
are leaving as well,
Yeah.
but also the families. And when the people between 40 to 49 years old is leaving, it's a double or triple effect because they take the kids with them. So how do we provide the children care, the schools, and all of the other offerings that we need? So we have to look at both at the youth, but also the grown-ups.
But are you sharing the possible views from the other participators here that things can be turned around?
Yeah, I think so. I think if we actually start to aim a little bit higher, and we actually think that it's not a regional championship and not a local competition, but and it's not only about making sure that we hold the young adults in the north, but to recruit the youth from all over the world. So I think that we have to agree to do three things. The first thing is to stop talking and actually start acting of the thing that we already know. It's different to listen to the young adult and actually acting on what the young adults tell you. The second thing I think we have to do is to keep involving and engaging the youth. The decision makers and the business leader does not have the solutions alone. We have to engage and involve and listen to other experiences that we don't have. And second, we heard it, we have to open the labor market. It has to be possible to get a job, so we have to talk about and show the possibilities that we have, not only talking about it, but actually show them. And actually, I cannot stress this enough. We have to stop the quarrel between the neighbors and actually and stop talking about the negative demographic shift. We know it already, so we have to start acting about it.
Good and concrete advice. And what I think is what I mentioned earlier, this is not rocket science. A lot of things can be done, but what you say is action now.
Yeah.
You have to stop talk and start doing something. And that is final words from you, and thank you, Jeanette. And that's it for now, folks. We are the only ones standing between you and lunch. But remember, tell the good stories. Be a part of the new narrative. And thank you for listening to us today.